So my name's Alistair White. I'm a sports coaching and development student at UCLan. One of my modules is club and volunteer development, and today I'll be doing a presentation reflecting on benefits and challenges of volunteering and recruitment of volunteers. So just a quick overview of this presentation. I'll be identifying the structures, impacts, benefits and challenges of volunteering, as well as talking about the opportunities to recruit and deploy volunteers in the workplace. During this presentation I will identify my own experiences while I've been volunteering, but also I will speak about how volunteering has affected other volunteers similar to myself. I shall also talk about how volunteering has affected the organisations I've worked for example, and also the participants and how they have been affected by my volunteering. Have they developed in the sport? So a bit of background knowledge. So volunteering in the UK. In the UK there are 841,716 volunteers who are wanting to or are currently volunteering in the UK with a team or a club. Volunteering is a key part in developing as a coach, and it's really important because it helps create social networks and social cohesion to help you improve your skills and further develop yourself as a coach so you can reach the highest level possible in coaching and wherever you aspire to be. For example, if you'd like to be an elite coach at the professional level, for example managing in Premier League for example, or if you just want to help your community just so it's to help develop others. And again, volunteering is really important because nowadays a lot of employers are looking for actual experience and hands-on experience already as well. If without this they just won't take a look at you, so it is vital that people actually get out, they practice what they've learned, the coaching techniques and all the sessions that they've come up with to see if they've actually worked to help the main aim, which is to develop everyone in sport so that everyone can reach their maximum potential. But however, there are some barriers to people in the UK volunteering. Some of those things might be things like work commitments, study commitments, childcare, or not knowing any opportunities or groups that you can actually volunteer with. But with the universities, I'll later explain, I haven't had much of those problems really. So obviously I go to University of Central Lancashire, and the university has plenty of links with outside clubs and teams. A couple of examples that they have strong links with are Sir Tom Finney, both the soccer centre and the football club, but also they have a strong link with Preston North End women's and ladies team, as well as the juniors as well. And there are also strong links with other clubs and teams all around the northwest area, for example with your professional clubs such as Rochdale or Bolton for example, or the lower level teams that are just amateur or semi-pro. So to actually volunteer, it's important that you have these requirements, otherwise you just won't be able to volunteer. And obviously try your best, and as well as having the experience, employers also want the highest qualifications or levels of coaching that you need. So some of the things that I found on Sir Tom Finney when I was applying was the fact that I needed at least my level 1 in coaching, basics first aid and safeguarding, which you do learn on your level 1. You also need a CRC or DBS, so a criminal record check or disclosure of barring service. You also need to be a member of the FA licensed coaching club, and other things is such as having high levels of commitment, so not just turn up when you fancy it. It's important that you can be dedicated and will turn up every week no problem, so you can help them develop. Also, there's also being organised and punctual. So it's very important as a coach and individual. I turn up with the equipment that I need. For example, I turn up with all my coaching equipment, balls, bibs, cones, things like this to help the training go along. Also, turn up with structured session plans, so I understand what I need to do when I'm doing it. So I've got a basis of the session, and I'm not just making it up. Also punctual, so the participants will be told that they've got to be there for a certain time, and if I'm just strolling up 15 minutes late, it's not acceptable at all. It's ruining their fun and hobby, and also I'm gaining nothing from it because I'm not getting the most time possible to try out all my different coaching skills that I've been learning in my lectures at university. So a bit about my placement. So I went to Sir Tom Finney Soccer Centre. This was formed in 1999. The club is a registered children's charity and has a charter standard which was granted to the club in 2005. The Soccer Centre has a board of trustees and they are committed to help with the organisation and running of the club behind the scenes. So everything is running smoothly, there's no problems at the club and on or off the field. The trustees will meet every 6 months and the committee will meet every 3 months, but of course this will vary depending on how well the club is being run, whether there's any issues or big events that are coming up that then cause the committee or trustees to have to meet up. But as a whole, Sir Tom Finney is a very well run club. But alongside all the trustees committees, there's also it's mostly run by volunteers, so there's a lot of responsibility on a volunteer like myself to actually turn up, help the running of the club. So that's I like how the responsibility Pete Mason and Kath Mason, the chairman and secretary, gave myself as well, and it's actually really preparing me for future work. So to recruit the volunteers, there are adverts posted by the development officer at the university, providing the students with all the information of what opportunities are actually available, whether this is for Tom Finney or any other organisation advertising for any volunteers from the university. For Sir Tom Finney to keep volunteers on, Kath Mason works very closely with each and every person, and it's a credit to her because there are lots of volunteers at the club, and she wants to help organise opportunities for volunteers to get the best development possible. And by doing this, she helps set you up on courses and assisting with costs of those courses by subsidising them. To help developing the volunteers, as I've previously said, there's lots of courses available, and if you go on the Sir Tom Finney website for the coaches, on our coaches section, there's actually a pathway for any coach to follow, so they know how to get to the top level in coaching and achieve their aims and targets to be the best coach they can be. Across Sir Tom Finney there are approximately 70 volunteers, which is quite a lot of students volunteering. This number is going to increase in the 2017-2018 season to around 80, as there's going to be 7 new teams being added across Sir Tom Finney Soccer Centre and Sir Tom Finney Football Club. There's a range of teams, as I've previously said, that the teams can volunteer, as there's coaching for children from ages around 6 up until 14, and that's mixed as well, so male, female. We don't restrict anyone taking part in sport. So Tom Finney is all about getting everybody and anybody involved. And also disability adults, which as I will move on to say, is the place that I chose to do my work placement. So obviously I chose to work for the Pan Disability team, and during my training sessions there, myself and another coach would be given a topic by the lead coaches, and we would then be able to lead the session and sometimes change it to how we thought was best to deliver the session, so we could get the best out of the participants we had in that session. So we did that, and then after training we would then come together with the lead coaches and all the other coaches. Everyone would discuss the drill that we'd done, and we'd say the good points of it, the bad points of it, how we'd improve it for next time. And also from that then we would then speak about player development. So as well as talking about the coach side of it, what we could have done better, we also want to get the best out of participants. So this was saying, one person did better this week, he's good at this aspect, and we'll try doing this to try and push them to make them as good a player as they possibly can be. Also, during my placement with the Pan Disability team, I would be given my own team to manage for tournaments. So I was responsible for looking after the team, picking a team, and obviously the managing of the games, which for me I was really, really excited about when I first heard about the chance to do it, and it's because it's something that I really want to get into, and being given a chance this early on in my volunteering career, I'm really, really excited about it. So I just want to get on with it and actually show people and myself everything that I've learned so far, and prove that I am making progress as a coach. So firstly, the successes that I've achieved whilst volunteering. Obviously being given a team to myself for a tournament is a massive achievement for me, I feel, at this stage. I'd only been volunteering since September, and it was around December time the lead coach approached me and said, would you like to take a team on? And I jumped at the chance. I had no hesitation. Thinking about it now, I might have hesitated about it, but I feel like the only way to learn sometimes is just to go for it and do it and get the experience that way. Other successes I've had is from when I've done sessions, I've received lots of positive feedback from mentors. They've been really helpful with how to welcome me into the environment and get my confidence raised, so I'm not afraid to go into any situation. And also, so like my delivery, they've been really impressed with, so like how vocal I am, how organised I am, and things like that. I've also felt that I've got a good rapport with the participants and other coaches. So I've gone in now, I'm quite an open-minded person. I'm willing to talk to anybody, and I've got to know the participants and coaches. So and it's important, especially with disability, to get to know the participant I'm working with, so I can then realise the best ways they learn, so they can develop more as players. As if I was just stuck to one method, some of them would develop, some of them wouldn't, and it just wouldn't be fair on some of them if others were developing more. Other success, as I've previously mentioned, I've been given loads of opportunities to lead sessions. On one of my first weeks there, I remember they said to me, right, you've got a 15-minute warm-up, here's some cones, balls, do what you like, and that was it. I was thrown, I wasn't pre-warned. They wanted to see what I could come up with on the spot. And again, I was nervous to start with, but in hindsight, I really enjoyed being thrown into the situation because it's making me respond quick. Obviously, sometimes sessions don't always go the way you want them to, so you have to think on your feet quick on what you can do. And I feel like things like that is really benefiting my development as a coach. Also, successes I've seen is the development of players. I feel like since I've been at the club and I've been coaching every Friday night, I've seen loads of improvement in a range of players. So there's 4 disability teams, and I've had the pleasure of coaching 2 of those teams, so that's probably a group of about 30 players, and I've seen all those players take positive steps to develop, and I'm really pleased in being involved in that, as it's a great club and the participants there are all brilliant and they deserve to be in the highest level because they work so hard during the training sessions. Another success I've had is being given the opportunity to develop as a coach through new qualifications. So on the 30th of March I am going on a disability coaching course, so this is going to give me more insight in how I could coach disability football, for example, and how I can get the most out of participants, and also how I could be an effective coach to help them develop more. But along with all these successes, I have come across some challenges during my time volunteering. So some of the challenges I've faced, as I've previously mentioned, obviously I'm working with a disability team, so I've had to go in there and realise what are the best ways people learn. It's something I've had experience working with people before, but each person, it varies to how they respond and how they learn best. I mean, for example, some might learn better with just being told what to do, so verbal. Some people prefer visual. So, for example, on a coaching board, I might show them little pins of where I want them to go. Or some people just learn better off actual demonstrations. So me and myself or another coach join in doing a demonstration to help the participants grasp what they need to be doing. It's another challenge I've faced is tournaments. So despite being really upbeat and very excited about tournaments, I've got to admit the results haven't quite been what I'd hoped for with the progress that we've made in training. So that's a little bit disappointing, but bearing in mind I've only done 2 tournaments. From the first tournament to the second tournament, I saw loads and loads of improvements, which I'm really pleased about. Which shows that my coaching is making a difference, but also it's actually getting through to the participants, and they're really enjoying the coaching that we're giving out, and they're actually responding to it and developing as players themselves. Other problems we've had is training sessions not going to plan. So for various reasons, people might just not be in the mood that night to train. It might be a bit cold, wet. So instead, we have to then think, oh, okay, how can we adapt this session? And sometimes we have to then just to adapt it to a blocked practice, for example. If we're doing something like defending, and we're doing a drill about jockeying. If they don't get that, and there's no point in us doing a progression, because if you do a progression, they just don't understand the basic technique. So sometimes we have to just change that to a block practice and just keep going until they get it embedded into the minds of the skill. Another challenge is the participants having new coaches. There's a whole range of coaches I've previously mentioned at Sir Tom Finney, so they have to put up with obviously a lot of chopping and changing, who can coach, who can't coach, on what days. So that is always a problem, because they like to build a good rapport with the coach, so they can have a little bit of a laugh and they get on with them and things like that. And this sort of links to the last challenge, which is it might seem like a positive, but despite the organisation having strong links to the UCLan, this means that there's more and more volunteers want to come through. So current volunteers like myself, if there's more volunteers coming through, it means that I might then have to miss a week or so to let other people have a go, and that's a little bit disappointing from my part, but at the end of the day, as an organisation, they're all about helping volunteers get through and reach their peak development. So ways that I overcame these challenges is things like grit and determination. So I won't give up. Even if I got knocked down a peg, I've obviously not been selected to coach maybe for 1 week. I'd then be at home. I'd think of a session plan. I'd think, right, this is going to be the best session than the one that I missed, and I'll prove to lead coaches and other coaches that I deserve to be coaching. I also used knowledge from more experienced coaches. So if I was struggling, for example, on how to do a certain drill or how to get it across to the participants, I would speak to them and they would take me, say, okay, watch me how I do this. And it would be really helpful and beneficial to me because I can actually see how they are doing it themselves. Player feedback as well. So I'm very much for seeing what players think, because obviously as a coach I can coach them, tell them loads of things, but at the end of the day if they don't get it, then essentially my coaching is useless. So I like to get feedback from the players on what I could do better perhaps. Contingency plans for session plans. So obviously I'm not just turning up with one session plan. For example, if I turn up with a session plan, I'm planning for a session where I'm going to have about 20 players and only, for example, 13 show up, then I've got another session plan in my back pocket that I can do and I'm not panicking or have to think on the spot. Another challenge, overcoming challenges, is I've got to stay upbeat and not giving up, because if I do that then I'm just going to be in a hole and I'm just going to think, why am I doing this? I can't do anything to do it. So I've got to always assume change is possible. Another way of overcoming a challenge is taking an alternative view, looking at a different situation. So that this is very important because, for example, when you're coaching, you're always thinking about how things work one-dimensionally, where if you took a step back and you're on the sidelines, you may look at it and think, okay, there's like 2 or 3 different things I can then do. And lastly, controlling personal emotions. So however frustrated I get with the drill not going well, for example, I mustn't show this frustration or the frustration when explaining. If I then get frustrated, then I'm just going to frustrate everybody else. So I need to control my emotions, stay positive and stay upbeat and keep that sort of vibe going through the session. Because if I do that, then everyone else will follow, because everyone is watching me as a coach and will replicate everything that I do. So along with volunteering, there are benefits of it, obviously. So there's personal benefits for the participants, and also benefits for the organisation. So personal benefits, I'm coming across a load of different situations and learn how to deal with and overcome with them. There's opportunities to gain new qualifications. For example, I'm a level 1 football coach currently, and Sir Tom Finney are actually offering me the chance to do my FA level 2. And also from the lectures that I'm in, I can try new coaching, new skills and coaching techniques and new sessions. Benefits for participants might be, I'm very much for doing one-to-one coaching and helping that player develop. So sometimes I'll pull a player to the side and say, what do you think's going wrong and how to do it, and then I give them actual things to do for that session, set them little targets so they can improve themselves. So it's individual target, focus on the weaknesses of the player and not just like everybody in the session. Also there's benefits for participants, there's high levels of commitment. So me personally, I like to say I give high levels of commitment all the time. I'll show up, no problem, all the time. And I think that's very good, because obviously participants then get to know you. And obviously this next point here, ensure you sport with more younger coaches and volunteers that just sort of get on, and it's just a lot more of a laugh, as well as helping to develop them as players and myself as a coach. In terms of the organisation, there's a whole lot of volunteers coming, so obviously by having loads more volunteers, it means the club can expand more, have more teams, more players, and in the end apply for more grants, so the whole infrastructure of the club can just grow massively. So a quick reflection on my volunteering experience so far. My personal development I've given lots of responsibility by being manager of the team, so I'm really pleased with that. I've been given plenty of chance to try out my own sessions, skills and knowledge in the actual environment. Again, I've opened up loads of new qualifications, so I could do a futsal course or anything. I've got a disability course coming off, I've got my level 2 I could do, so I've got plenty of qualification I can do. I've also learned how to come over certain situations, like some of the ones I've mentioned earlier, by staying upbeat and not getting frustrated despite things not going well in a session, for example. In terms of participants developing, as I mentioned earlier, from the first tournament to the second tournament, I've seen a massive improvement despite not getting the results, which is really positive, as main topic was working on defending, and we conceded very few goals, which was very pleasing to see. And also another reflection is that all the time I've never seen a participant with a sad face. They've always been smiling, laughing, and have been enjoying themselves, which is really positive to see that my coaching sessions aren't boring or they're not bored by me. In terms of developing the organisation for the course, there's been various awards in 2017, so Kieran Rogers and Faisal Member have just won the Preston Guildhall Sports Awards for their contribution to disability sport. And also in 2017 and 2018, there's going to be even more players at the club, which is really pleasing to see, as we can grow and have potentially a 5th or 6th team. So for future developments and my next steps, after my volunteering experience I've had, I've now got some decisions I can make. So there's, obviously I mentioned the new courses, so I've got loads of courses I could apply for. I could go for new employment opportunities. Now I've got experience, I could maybe go to a high level club like Preston North End Ladies perhaps, which is a slightly higher level than the Sir Tom Finney Disability. There's the coaching pathways as mentioned on the Sir Tom Finney website, so I could follow that, the structure of that, so I could then reach the top level possible I want. And just in general, new volunteering experiences. Obviously having more experience, then more employees are going to trust you because you've got that basis, and especially at a club like Sir Tom Finney, who are a massive club in the Preston area and Lancashire area in general. And that is my presentation. Thank you for listening.